And thank you everybody for joining today's call. I think we are all missing the physical contact, and shortly we will be able to get back to this too. But before we do that, we have a great guest today with us, our dear Ramses, that most of us I think knows. So Ramses, hi there.
Morning. Good morning.
Yeah, and from CyberRes, we have also two additional members, Christian and Nadia, that will help maybe with some Q&A at the end.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Yeah, basically, what to say? Great number of people is joining. Still, people are logging in. I don't have much more to say actually, but what I will just maybe some, as they say, housekeeping, that we have, sorry, somebody's bothering me on the phone, that we will have a quiz at the end with some great rewards to raffle between those that will answer to all the questions. So I would say, please stay till the end and listen carefully, because Ramses might give away the answers to the questions that we will be posting. And at the end, we will also have a Q&A session, but more about that when we are done with the Ramses's great part. So Ramses, I think the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you very much, David. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being with us today. With us this morning, I have just written in the chat, welcome, message. It is an honor to be entertaining you this morning. In the next hour or so, maybe a little less, I will share with you our vision and mission, purpose and promise, but most importantly, not just the vision and mission, the purpose and promise of CyberRes, a micro-focus line of business, but we are inviting you into a journey. Let me share the screen with you, that it's actually the title of the session that we have chosen, right? Which is exactly what you are hopefully seeing on screen. It's not just about security. Well, it is. It's about protecting, it's about defending, it's about identifying assets, it's about safeguarding information. Well, yes, but what we think at CyberRes, a micro-focus line of business, is that there's a shift in perception. There's a new opportunity, a new beginning, a new dawn, which is start talking about resiliency, the capacity to endure, the capacity to resist, without forgetting security and identifying, protecting, defending, responding, of monitoring. Of course, yes, to all of that. But the question is, in these very troubled times that we are living, in this very hard epoch that we are living, and not just because of the war in the Ukraine, which is, of course, terrible. It's a tragedy, and we absolutely condemn that, but also in the digital arena, in the ever-expanding threat landscape, there are things happening that deserve not only protecting and defending, which yes to that, but also deserve the capacity to withstand, the capacity to resist. Actually, let me open the curtains for you again in this hour presentation, and then please get your questions ready. Shoot me and my colleagues, Christian and Nadia, of course, will help me if needed into shoot us your questions, and then we will have a quiz at the end, and then the friends at Real Security, then they'll do a raffle. We will explain later, but please pay attention, if you will, stay with us into going back to the beginning, into the messaging of every society at large in the world, in history, has moved forward, has expanded, has amplified its reach by understanding the capacity of resisting, the capacity of enduring, the capacity of continuing, not just business, but as society at large. So we say at CyberRes, a micro-focus line of business, we used to be the division of micro-focus, just the security department, or if you will, the security risk and governance division. And we decided that we deserved a soul. We deserved a name that you are seeing here, by the way. CyberRes comes from cyber resiliency, right? So going back to the beginning is about withstanding, resisting, enduring. and especially doing different things differently. In this very, again, digital times, digital epoch, super technological arena and era that we are living, we call digital disruption. We call it, digital transformation. Well, we at CyberRest, and specifically in this session today, we will talk about radical innovation, about doing different things differently. Well, yes, of course, we have a huge portfolio, a very wide families, in plural, of solutions that, that what they are talking about identities and data, and then application security and security operations and threat hunting, and then identification, strong authentication, and a variety of things. But in this specific session, we have brought today radical innovation, new approaches to do new things in a different way, or the same things in a radical, innovative way. All right, that will come at the end. But of course, as we saw, or we have seen, or we are seeing, use the tense that you prefer, with COVID, that happened overnight. Am I right? So change is the name of the game. Am I right? So change. I don't know in your countries, but in my country, on a Friday, March the 13th, 2020, boom, I mean, everything changed, and now look at us, the war, in Ukraine, Russia, and everything that is happening. We need to understand also in the digital arena, the velocity, the variety, and the volume of change. The velocity of change, the variety of change, and then the volume of change. And we at CyberRest, a micro-focus line of business, we have created a second-to-none portfolio to do that. Of course, this is my last, for the moment, mention of the war, which again we absolutely condemn. But especially when I talk about one of our radical innovative platforms for threat hunting, we are seeing that things that are happening tragically in the physical space, they have a mapping on digital campaigns. They have a mapping on the threat arena. And this is why I wanted to mention, and that's a visual that I have used several times, and you have seen me presenting before, but I think that especially in the weeks, in the 20 terrible days that we are suffering the war in Ukraine, especially I wanted to mention how amplified that means for for a digital condition. Okay, because this session is about excuse me, the journey from not just cybersecurity or security, but also embracing cyber resiliency. Let me remind everyone here, again, not only the name of the company, a company within a company, CyberRest, from Cyber Resiliency, a micro-focus line of business with our new and own identity, logo, and the soul, and the DNA. But when we talk about resiliency, we see 4 types of resiliency. We have a strategic resiliency that has to do with the capacity to affect, to impact on the long-term things like growth, strategy, tactics, sustainability, perception, how you are being perceived. That's a strategic resiliency, and you have to protect that. But also we have financial resiliency that has to do with profit and loss, with cash flow, profitability, liquidity, shareholder value. So the financial aspect of resisting, enduring, and withstanding. But when we talk about resiliency, and again, this is not just security, it's the operational part of the resiliency equation that has to do with continuity, with employee management, infrastructure, servers, digital networks, facilities, the supply chain, because operational resiliency has to do also with the supply chain, with vendors, with providers, with customers. So from left to right, strategic resiliency, financial resiliency, operational resiliency, and last but not least, information and cyber resiliency, probably the one that you are more thinking about, maybe, IT and digital risk and assets and cyber risk. Well, yes to all of that, but information and cyber resiliency has to do with the 3 others. Am I right? Strategy, tactics, infrastructure, supply chain, operations, cash flow, profit and loss, money, international transactions. Okay, so in a globalized, super globalized digital economy. So cyber resiliency is about that. And And cyber resilience, or cyber resiliency, as you prefer it, is absolutely key to enable, to embrace what we call enterprise resiliency. So those four aspects that I have just mentioned are enterprise resiliency. But in these very digital times, enterprise resiliency will be driven by understanding the cyber resiliency and the capacity to absorb hits, to absorb threats, to understand vulnerabilities, to patch and manage and govern, structured and unstructured data. As I mentioned before, identities, data, security operations, all that, which sounds a little chaotic, but it's not. The moment that you focus, the moment that you govern enterprise resiliency through cyber resiliency, you realize that you are not only talking about protecting and defending, not only security, as the title of this session is not only about security, it's about enterprise resiliency. And going beyond the idea of cybersecurity and delivering business value, that has to do with revenue impact, with perception, with brand recognition, with compliance. That has to do with confidence from investors. That has to do with continuity. That has to do with again, observability. And that has to do with a number of things that are business first, business first, business first. We all here in the room, I guess, we are in the IT arena, am I right? We are in the technology world, of course. But at the end, the technology world, the IT space belongs and lives for, with, and from business first, business first, business first. So cyber resiliency having to do with enterprise resiliency and having an impact on absorbing, the hits of taking hits and taking shocks, and then understanding reputation, brand recognition, privacy concerns, litigation, compliance, etc. So the right approach to cyber resiliency, as I will build, and again, the name of this holy division that I belong, and again, I'm honored of being International Chief Technology Officer for Cyber Risk. That's my role. I'm the International Chief Technology Officer for Cyber Risk. Again, a micro-focused line of business. What I do know, and my career has told me, and probably this is like very, very much as I do, probably better. I mean, the right approach means fewer incidents, so a window of exposure that can be minimized. So the window of exposure, the exposure factor can be shrinked, and as a consequence, fewer fines and penalties, better perception and recognition of the market, less risk and less gaps to patch, and of course an enhanced reputation, a better security and cyber resiliency posture. Last but not least, and now I will tell you how we are building that, not just security but cyber resiliency approach. Securing the enterprise and building resiliency for the enterprise is at the core of what we do. That's our mission and vision, purpose and promise. But we are a technology vendor. We do that with technology, with what I think, as international CTO, what I think is second to none, unparalleled technology out there. Some of the things we do, of course, we have competitors, of course, we have friends and competitors and other vendors, and well, yes, of course, identities, data, and applications. By the way, that's super important. You see that the bottom of this slide, that's what we do. We secure the enterprise through understanding very, very, very well identities, through protecting and safeguarding very, very, very well applications and the code within the apps. I will go into that in a second. And certainly finding, identifying, governing structured and unstructured data, and then deciding what to do. Do data retention or do encryption, etc. But those three purple boxes at the bottom are super critical, because not many companies can say the same. I mean, we compete with people that they only do identity management. We compete with people that they only do, data protection or privacy, or we compete with people that do security operations, and they don't understand the full picture. Well, we have decided, we at CyberRes, a micro-focused line of business, we have decided not to be siloed, because you are not siloed, am I right? Because you don't have to protect only the endpoint. You don't have to protect only the gateway. You don't have to protect only identities, employees, consumers, or just the data, the cloud, or on-prem. No, you have to do it all. This is why we have decided not to be siloed. And then, as this slide is breathing, securing the enterprise by securing transformation, securing hybridness and liquidness, on-prem and cloud, and that journey and that transition, we understand it very well. Because remember, we are a micro-focused line of business. We have been in the market for more than 40 years. Can I say it again? 40, 40. Not many companies can say the same. We've been around, excuse me, from the mainframe into the cloud and everything and anything in the middle. So securing transformation, securing hybridness and cloud transition and transformation, securing the value chain and the supply chain, that's super important. And last but not least, which is also probably at the core of what everybody understands here very well, is securing the infrastructure, servers, assets, mobility, cloud, network, storage cabins, data, applications back and forth. But again, at the core, cyber resiliency by protecting identities, data, and applications. You know, when we were crafting this session for you, we the team, you know, Christian and Nadia, my friends at marketing, my friends in pre-sales, sales, etc. We got together because we wanted to deliver, hopefully, what it's being a good session, at least an insightful session, a different session. Of course, I need to talk about technology and our approach. But these first 15 minutes or so were about telling you about the journey, letting you know that we know, letting you know that we are not a startup for the good or the bad, meaning we are a micro-focused line of business. So we have been around for decades. And because of that, we understand architecture very well. We understand how to size things, how to understand weights and light. When you design something in civil engineering, when you build a house or you design actually basically a machine or everything, you need to consider different attributes. Am I right? Light, weight, size, beauty. You know, because you want it as this person is designing, you want it beautiful, you want it modern, right? You want it to be recognized, you want it to be good looking. Am I right? But excuse me, but it's important as well to understand liquidness in these very challenging times, in these very hybrid times, in these very flexible times. And this is our picture for liquidness or flexibility. You need to be flexible. Again, cloud, on-prem, mobility, remote working, and everything in between or everything combined. When you define not just civil architecture, but also enterprise architecture, security architecture, or resiliency architecture, you also need to consider flexibility. Last but not least, talking about architecture, you need to talk about integration, not just connected security like my hands, not just connected security, but integrated security. I mean, being fed or having sources of the truth from the endpoint and network management and different clouds, and then network management, and then asset management, and then IT world, and then, you know, everything and anything has to be integrated and has to be near real time or real time responsive, you know, into the challenges that presents. Okay, so beauty, size, light, weight, enterprise architecture with flexibility in mind, with hybridness in mind or liquidness in mind, and of course, integration in mind. And that's exactly what we have built. Again, we are not a siloed company, with all due respect for all of the others. We have decided to play in 4+1 arenas. What you are seeing here, and then I will build up this slide, because this is what we do, this is what we are, this is what we breathe. 4+1 disciplines in order to fulfill the promise of the journey from not just security or cybersecurity to resiliency or cyber resiliency. We start with Voltage. Voltage is our data privacy and protection family of solutions. Everything and anything that has to do with data privacy and protection, and I mean it. Please challenge me, challenge Christian, challenge us, our pre-sales people and our engineers, because when we talk about Voltage with data privacy and protection, we talk about structured and unstructured data, discovery of any data in any format, anywhere. Let me say it again. Any cloud, any format, even the mainframe. Again, we are a micro-focused line of business. So we understand, we have been around 40 years. So we understand very much everything and anything that has to do with tokenization. Fantastic, we do it. Encryption, that's great, we do it. If you want a couple of acronyms like FPE and FPH, format preserving encryption and format preserving hash, yes. Format preserving means that it preserves the original format, so you don't have to change origin and destiny of the application. You don't have to touch anything in the infrastructure, because while it's kept secret, it preserves the original format. That's something that we only do. That's actually one of our patents. So data privacy and protection with the Voltage family of solutions. When we go into the identity and access management, and I will expand each and every one of those solutions in a second, but again, the journey drives me into, remember, identities, data, and applications. Okay, let's go to identity. When we talk about identity, some people understand, well, yeah, that's two-factor authentication, that's federation, or that's single sign-on, or that's privileged account management. Yes to all of that. Yes to all of that, because we do that. We do all of them. And that's important, because again, we are not siloed, not as a whole, but we are not siloed in one of the four, in any of the 4+1 disciplines. So with NetIQ, we did all of the things that need to do with identity and access management, federation, cloud, web single sign-on, privileged account management, two-factor authentication, virtual directory, governance, everything and anything that has to do with identity and access management. Very important. We are a leader or a co-leader in some of the spaces that I have already told you. But we are an absolute leader in the application security space with Fortify. That's one of the solutions we acquired to HPE, to Hewlett Packard Enterprise, among the others, also ArcSight and Voltage. But we are a leader in this space. When it comes to checking the code and making sure that there's nothing wrong with the code, making sure that you are not using outdated APIs from GitHub or open source libraries. When it's about robustness and solidness on application security, the name, which I love it, by the way, it's Fortify. Fortify is the family of solutions that is about building a secure, a holistic application security platform. And by the way, just yesterday, we announced an acquisition. It's called The Brick, and it will also expand into protecting the open source supply chain or software factory that you might be thinking about, or your providers, etc. So we are investing and we are expanding our leadership on application security. The name of the family of solutions is Fortify. But again, just yesterday we announced the acquisition of The Brick that amplifies, completes, and complements our leadership on application security. And last but not least, of the 4+1 of the 4, so it's security operations. With ArcSight, I will talk in a minute about ArcSight, but it started 22 years ago. 22. So this is a solution that has been around for 22 years. So ArcSight, started as a CM, as a collection of logs, a log management platform. And that then the CMs turned into a compliance, and then super correlation, and then EDR, MDR, XDR, all of the acronyms came into that single instance of the truth. Well, and then SOAR, and then other things. I will explain in a minute. We do all that. And last but not least, at the core of the 4+1, and that's the one, we have an unsupervised machine learning. Unsupervised machine learning learns by observation, but Intercept is the family of solution that nurtures the 4 areas, some of them in a deeper way than others. I'm not going to lie, meaning Intercept works flawlessly with our ArcSight set of solutions, and we are working with NetIQ, with our identity and access management platform, and we are building in more with Voltage and more with Fortify as time progresses and goes by. But at the core of how we expand and amplify the human reach, that's Intercept, and it's unsupervised machine learning, augmenting the human intelligence, okay? Another way of seeing that, and I especially like the logos. Again, we have a new name, CyberRes, a micro-focused line of business, a new soul, a new identity, and actually a new logos for each and every one of the families. I wanted to mention that you see the A, type with an A with the ArcSight, the kind of an F with Fortify, the N with NetIQ, the V with Voltage, meaning it's our identity, it's our way of letting you know that we are serious, that we deserve a new soul, and CyberRes, a micro-focused line of business here to stay in the long run. Very rapidly on the 4+1, the minutes that I have left in this second part of the presentation, and again, I have I guess, an announcement to make or a kind of a surprise for all of you at the end. Get your questions ready when I'm finished, and then we'll go after the questions to the quiz. But let me start very rapidly with identity. Because we at CyberRes, we believe that identity powers everything. Am I right if I say that on the universal question, who has access to what, the first word, the first one is who? Who? Who means I need to know who or what, if it's a thing, if it's a script. But at the end of the day, on the universal question of who has access to what, which is a universal question of security or resiliency, the who is a fundamental aspect, right? So then that opens the doors to role management and self-service and certification and governance and federation and single sign-on. That opens the world. That opens the world and the door to the world of an enterprise architecture, again, that has to do with joiners of a company, people that join the company or leavers of the company. That has to do with rights, with entitlement, with authentication. That has to do with authorization. That has to do with federation, with auditability, with auditing, with assurance, how you consume the services. So how you build the right stack in order to answer the question who has access to what, that's data, when, how the access was granted, everything and anything related to identity management in the journey from identity and access management 1.0 to identity and access management 3.0. All of those hexagons that you are seeing here, we do them all. We do them all. We compete with people that they only do, with all due respect, 1, 2, 3 of those hexagons or areas. We do them all because we feel that you have to have an answer for all of them. Privilege account management, be my guest, we do it. Single sign-on, web single sign-on, cloud sign-on, social authentication, what else? Federation, governance, two-factor authentication, all of them. And actually, don't close your eyes, because in the next slide, which it looks like the same, but it's not, those are the name of the products. In a modular approach, actually benefiting from the investments that you may have already done in this space, because everybody has done something in identity, right? Some project on privilege account management or two-factor authentication, some sort of role management thing, or okay, in a modular approach, in a granular approach, with CyberRes, with NetIQ, the identity and access management family of solutions from NetIQ, you can complete and complement your journey into identity and access management. This is super powerful with very good references. And again, with this, in this space, we've been around a lot. But let me move very rapidly to the world of SOC, Security Operations Center. With ArcSight, we've been around, again, 22 years, okay? We acquired the tool from HPE, and it's probably the largest install base that we have is with ArcSight. Again, 22 years in the market allows us to have many customers, different sizes of customers, different geographies, different ones. But before I start, let me go very rapidly onto some slides just to let you know that we know. If I would have more time, but again, Real Security, thank you for having us in this very packed 1 hour, 10 minute session. And then again, we'll go to the questions and then to the quiz. But I need to let you know, my job is to let you know that we have been building on the technology side, but we have been building or helping to build SOCs, Security Operations Center, for more than 2 decades. Actually, this year, 22 years. So we know what it's about: reactive service or proactive service, reporting, alerting, incident notification, threat response, and then hardening the environment, training, countermeasures. We know all that. We know what's a priority for implementation, what you have to do on the RACI chart. Again, this is just to let you know that we breathe, you know, security operations, that we know about all that. Actually, we know about, you know, shift of people, you know, when you have to have 2 people as cyber analysts, a junior analyst, and then in the night, maybe one senior analyst, and then in the morning, couple. So we understand the setting and the setup of SOCs. Actually, we understand different processes, you know, from the threat detection team and the threat response team, and then how that matches into policies and procedures. Actually, we have people into how to hand over, you know, how to follow the sun with threats. You know, I mean, we have been doing these things, and I'm going very rapidly because, again, we are the technology side of the equation. But I need to let you know that we know that stuff very well. The daily tasks of a SOC analyst, you know, the triage, and then the monitoring, if this has been seen before, actually, you know, the incident analysis and the request for more information and notification, classification, triage, prevention, all of those things. And actually, this is like, unfortunately, you don't see much, I mean, because it's too little. But again, that's part of the million things that we have been doing. And again, we do it from the technology arena, but, you know, helping our partners, our customers to build state-of-the-art, second-to-none security operations centers that, again, remember, they have moved from just, you know, notification or incident response, etc., into MDR, EDR, SOAR. You know, SOAR is that acronym for security orchestration, automation, and response, you know, and everything in the middle, right? But at the end of the day, what you want to know is to have answers. What you want to know, excuse me, what you want to know is, have we seen this threat before? I mean, how big is this payload? Have we seen something similar in another region of Europe or in APJ or in North America? Have we seen anything similar from a different threat actor or from the same threat actor or with a different approach? You want answers to questions because people have questions. So the things that you are seeing here, we have been doing with ArcSight, and with the announcement I'm going to make at the end of this presentation, actually in 20 minutes, I'm going to be very, very quick. And from now, I mean, that certainly completes and complements our vision and mission, purpose and promise on security operations. Okay. So we have been doing this with ArcSight for decades in an open, flexible, unified, and simplified way. Open, flexible, unified, and simplified way. Again, ArcSight has a name on itself, and it's our largest customer base. One of the reasons of the many is, apart from events per second that we can ingest, the biggest ratio of encryption on a technology like this. Actually, you save massive storage, you know, by using our compression technology. But one of the reasons is that we integrate out of the box. We integrate with more technologies than any other competing solutions out there in the marketplace. Again, 22 years in the market allows us to be a veteran in the space. So we integrate with more technologies in the endpoint arena, in the network management arena, storage coming, cloud, analysis, analytics, and privacy, and threat intelligence, back and so forth, than anyone else. But we have invested a lot in ArcSight in order to have a very good looking interface. You know, everything that you see here is clickable. And actually, I'm going to drive your attention to the top of this slide where you see a flow of the Mitral attack. I will go into that into a second, but this is ArcSight, very good looking, very good, cool interface. Everything is clickable. And again, that has become the nuclear solution, the single instance of the truth, when it can be fed and it can be sourced by different, instances of the truth from different areas. Okay, but on top of that, we have put the Mitral attack framework. If you have seen me before presenting, and I recall a gorgeous, another fantastic conference where one of my colleagues, Emra, mentioned the Mitral attack framework. But very rapidly, attack means adversarial tactics, techniques, and common knowledge. Adversarial, the enemy. Tactics, techniques, and common knowledge. Okay. So the Mitral attack framework is based on observation, is based on reality. There are more than 300 techniques, very detailed, and 300 and growing, by the way, with all of the tactics and techniques and procedures and approaches of the enemy, of those who want to offend us, of cyber criminals. Okay, it is very interesting because the Mitral attack reminds me, I'm sorry, about the periodic table of elements. You remember iron and then radium and iridium and the rest of the periodic table of elements, you know. So we have been, and this is a kind of a matrix, right? So it allows me to remember, you know, very well. So we have decided that we were going, and it's actually already in. It's already in. All of the techniques of the Mitral attack framework are already on top of ArcSight. So this is why we lead in the security operations arena. From left to your right, from your left to your right, now we know the book of attack has been written, but now we know how they're trying to gain initial access, how they try to execute, how they try to resist, to persist, how they try to exfiltrate data, how they try to do lateral movements. More than 300 techniques detailed with a detailed explanation of how they try to attack us. So I think that you would agree that if we know how they are going to attack us, now we are best positioned in order to defend. And that's built on our security operations, not just the Mitral attack framework, but also SOAR, you know, security orchestration, automation, and response. By the way, you know that we vendors, we always work with analysts, and then we have the magic quadrants and the Forrester waves and etc. Okay, well, apart from the analysts, we have been chosen by what is called the Gartner Peer Insight. So it's customers choosing solutions. Customers have chosen ArcSight, especially in Europe, in our region, and that's my region, you know, as one of the leading solutions. So not just about what the analysts say and how they measure different variables, but customers have gave us what it's called the award, you know, on Gartner Peer Insights, customer choice, they call it. And we are super proud on that with ArcSight. Well, talking about the Mitral attack framework, let me explain you a couple of threat actors. Because Fin7, that threat actor, has unfortunately been famously recognized by their attacks to finance. Okay, well, Fin7 does not use magic wands or magic to attack. They use tactics and techniques that are captured in the Mitral attack framework in your screens now in blue. So those things in blue are already very well described, and ArcSight is capable to detect that real time. If we get, to another threat actor, APT29, also very famously known by, you know, hacking ATMs and getting literally money out of the ATM, like in the movies, you know, like, okay. Now in yellow here, those are the favorite techniques of APT29. They are captured in Mitral, and we are ready to, so again, they are not using new, super cool, unknown techniques. Well, maybe some of them, but the rest, the book is written, and we have captured that on security operations. I have gone very rapidly. The identity and access management security operations, let me open the word and the world of Devops, application security. We lead with Fortify in this space, and that's the infinite loop, probably you know it, on Devops. Continuous integration, continuous security, right? That's secure software development, making sure that the code is robust and is solid. And for that, we have Fortify, both on demand and on-prem. Let me show you Fortify on demand very rapidly, because Fortify on demand supports more languages and repositories than any other tool out there in the marketplace. So if you are wondering how to make sure that your you know, your third party, your contractor, your the people that are developing your thing, your own team or an external team, an outsourcing team, that they are doing the right things, following the blue book of coding, following the orange book or the white book of coding, following the right framework, making sure that there are not hard-coded passwords within the code, which is terrible, making sure that everything is robust and solid. Well, we support more languages and more repositories than any other solution in the marketplace. Well, I'm a little technical, as you may imagine, being the International Chief Technology Officer, correct? But if I wouldn't be technical, I certainly would appreciate a solution that actually does an analysis for me of the code, any language, any repository, And then after the analysis, gives me an explanation of the vulnerability, SQL injection or a backdoor or whatever. So it tells me what the vulnerability is about, and I can read in plain English, of course. Then actually it suggests and it recommends, how to manage it, how to improve that security posture. Again, if I'm not technical, I certainly understand those 6 lines or 7 lines that I'm reading there. Actually, the tool suggests if you want to implement this code. Listen, Ramses, you are using an outsourced, yes, but outdated, that's what I meant, out of date, library, open source library from GitHub. This has a serious vulnerability. You should change this parameter, this library, so back and so forth. And it gives me a diagram of dependencies. Even if I'm not technical, I certainly can understand what will go wrong if I change this or if I change that. And it also provides a heat map, a heat map of, again, dependencies and what is the impact of changing things. So when it comes to robust solidness, continuous integration, continuous development, certainly Fortify is fantastic. That's the third of the 4+1. But let me go very rapidly, and then I will do that announcement that I'm finishing. And then again, get your question ready, please. Shoot me any question you want to know, or then Christian or Nadia will help me to answer if needed. But the last of our 4+1, apart from the one in the middle of the 4, is voltage, data privacy and protection. I'm going to bring it together with application security, because remember the question on who has access to what, identities, data, and application. Well, continuous security has to do with continuous monitoring, continuous protection of data, continuous encryption, continuous tokenization, continuous keeping secret the things that you want to keep secret. So data security alone, data security and protection, or data privacy and protection, or together with our world of application security, has to do with all of the things that, of course, I need a couple of days to explain this slide, but that has to do with securing the data. That has to do with GDPR requirements. That has to do with test data management. That has to do, and you correct me if I am wrong, ladies and gentlemen, this morning, but when people are trying to test, an application, they need the volume of data, but you need to have it encrypted in healthcare, in government, in retail. I mean, millions of records that should be kept secret, but you need to test the applications. Am I right? You need to do all the test data management. Why on earth should a developer know that I have COVID-19, or I'm, my sexual orientation or my blood type? But they need the data. So through all that process, again, format preserving encryption, format preserving hash, and everything in the middle of the things that you are seeing here in that world of continuous security, again, excuse me, alone on the right-hand side, continuous data security, data protection, tokenization, encryption, structured and unstructured data with the voltage family of solutions, or combined, and we are one of the only companies on the planet that can do that, on application security. Application security has to do with dynamic security testing, static code security testing, mobile security testing, and everything that goes right in the middle. But apart from that 4+1, again, identity management, data privacy and protection, security operations, and application security, and at the heart of it, unsupervised machine learning, we have brought innovation. We launched in January, and it's ready right now. It's fully available for you, and I'm going to invest the next 10 to 15 minutes and then open to your question and then the quiz, and then I'll let you go for the rest of your day. But apart from the mission and vision, purpose and promise of the things that we are doing at CyberRes, again, in a huge wide portfolio, because we are not siloed, because you are not siloed, now we decided that we wanted to give back. Yes, we sell things. We sell things. We are a for-profit company. But we wanted also to be a good neighbor, and especially in the security operations arena, and especially on the threat hunting arena that we do very well with ArcSight and the SOAR capabilities and the unsupervised machine learning that is on top of ArcSight. But we have created, and we launched it 2 months ago. It's fully available, and hopefully in the next minutes, I convince you to use it because it's for free. It has no cost. CyberRes Galaxy, that's the name of the platform I'm introducing now. CyberRes Galaxy, in its community edition, it has no cost, it's free. We call it a world or a universe, since it's called Galaxy, a universe of threat detection. Actually, there's nothing to deploy, nothing to install. It's a platform, a threat research platform that you use, that you consume. You don't have to deploy anything on your premises. You have to do nothing but subscribe to the information and the dashboard or web page of CyberRes Galaxy at no cost. So the community edition. So the first thing that Galaxy, by the way, some people call it threat intelligence. We want to be super respectful with the word intelligence because that means different things from different people. Actually, some of you probably pay some intelligence report, you pay to some vendors because there are other things existing out there. So we want it to be very clear and we want it to be super respectful with the word intelligence. And we call it our threat research platform. The first thing that Galaxy invites you to do is actually define your taste, define your preferences. When you log in and you request, you subscribe to the platform, it requests like Apple Music or Spotify, which are your tastes, what are your preferences, by region, by industry type or size, by geography. You define what you are interested on. You can change that on every moment. And then, yes, and then this happens. What you are seeing now on screen, hopefully, that's CyberRes Galaxy Community Edition, which is free. Unfortunately, this is just a screenshot, but I promise that those bubbles in the middle, that big universe, we call it the constellation, of course. We call it the constellation of threats. When you hover your mouse on top of them, it moves. I mean, they dance. And depending on the size and the color and the connection of there are the threats, okay? So everything in this interface, again, that is web-based, you don't have to deploy anything or install anything. I mean, you can use it. But most importantly, I will go back to this interface in a second, but very importantly, we are focusing on what really matters to the business. There is an acronym that we are using, an algorithm that we have not invented that algorithm. It's an industry validated, it's a term that is validated by the industry, which is, as you are seeing there, ALE. ALE, Analyzed Loss Expectancy. Analyzed loss expectancy is the expectation of loss in an analyzed form for that specific threat, that specific threat actor. As you can see, there are filters in there that you can play with. Yes, I said play with, because CyberRes Galaxy, let me go back to the interface, but ALE is very important. But CyberRes Galaxy has been designed for CISOs and cyber analysts, for the business, with the business, through the business. And then there are different filters. You can decide, I want to know about oil and gas or retail or telco. No, but telco, I don't know, in South Africa or in Slovakia or in Spain or so different threat actors. And then you can search and it will give you information per industry type, size, geography, so back and so forth. Okay, so it is very important. On top of that, CyberRes Galaxy provides bulletins. It provides information of specific threats. And again, you can, those icons that you are seeing there, you can view the report, you can like the report, you can pin the report because that is specific, I don't know, ransomware threat. It is what really interests you. We are building on top of that what we call PIBs, P-I-B, Priority Intelligence Bulletins or Priority Intelligence Briefings, that every now and then when the situation requires it, we produce a larger, more detailed, curated report on that specific threat or threat actor. If you're interested, by the way, and that's actually happening as I am presenting now, the Galaxy team is creating more and more PIBs on what we call, unfortunately, the 2022 Ukraine threat digital condition. There are even a couple of YouTube videos by Mark Fernandez, the global CTO of CyberRes, YouTube video, public videos explaining, what we call the Ukraine threat digital condition, what we are seeing, unfortunately, in the physical world, and war, how it matches things that are happening in the digital arena for free, because we wanted to give back on our community edition. Why is it different, you may be thinking? In the minutes that I have left, market is crowded, and why is this different? Okay, with all due respect, what it's out there available, probably, with the cost that you're paying for something, they're good on the technical understanding of the threat. So they do a quite good, some do, some don't, but breakdown of the mechanics of the threat. What we are building with Galaxy is sponsored or confirmed, or with assessment with CISOs, with actual CISOs, or people that has been a CISO in their careers, and then they are advising us on what it's meaningful to put on the pips with Galaxy. It's business orientation with that ALE, remember, analyze loss expectancy. Again, and because we are seeing the full picture, identity management, security operations, application security, and data privacy and protection, we think that we are best equipped in order to let you know how to mitigate that specific threat, if it has to do with identity or it has to do with application security, so back and so forth. Actually, while others, again, with massive respect, they tell you that there's a fire, and others can tell you that, there's a fire burning and the mechanics of or the characteristics of the fire, we are more eager to let you know why the fire happened. Maybe it's because the changing climate conditions, or because human intervention, or whatever. So we focus on business first, business first, business first. But we didn't stop there. And again, this is free. You can subscribe to Galaxy as we speak. Actually, I'm expecting a question, and then I will put the answer in the chat, or Christian, if you want to put it on the chat for everyone, is where you can subscribe to CyberRes Galaxy Community Edition for free. But we didn't stop there, because we have built what we called enterprise resiliency guides for different threats. For ransomware specifically, that's one. So it's already available. It's in the platform. It's super. You can download it, but it's super cool because you can view it, and you can preview it with the pages, moving, within the tool. This is not, excuse me. This is not a 7 to 9 pages sort of thing. This is not just a white paper. This is more of a book. There are dozens of pages in there. Everything and anything that has to do with ransomware. Please take a look. And on top of that, apart from the community edition, which is for free, if you are using ArcSight, again, you don't have to be using ArcSight to subscribe to Galaxy. Actually, you don't have to be a CyberRes Micro Focus customer, which of course we would love you to be a customer of us. But you don't have to be in order to use Galaxy. Anyone and everyone can use CyberRes Galaxy. But if you have ArcSight in the house, we have created what is called GTAP, Galaxy Threat Acceleration Program, and Galaxy Threat Acceleration Program Plus, and they provide bi-directional integration with, from, to, through ArcSight, with premium instances if needed, and everything described. Every artifact has a link to the Mitral attack framework that I just mentioned before, that is built on top of ArcSight, meaning those red numbers that you are seeing in this, hopefully in your screen, they are not ours. They are the taxonomy of the Mitral attack framework. Everything here is clickable, and then you can investigate from ArcSight to Galaxy. You can check from Galaxy into ArcSight. That is if you are a user of ArcSight, which of course we would love you to be. If not, Galaxy makes all of the sense. And on top of that, and I know, Christian, that we cannot mention the governments of the world that we are working with, but I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that we are working super seriously with governments of the world on Galaxy for defense, Galaxy for cyber operations. Actually, these brochures, I can send them to you. I mean, Galaxy is ready for the future of now, for that tragic future that is about, a world with no borders, no frontiers. If there are frontiers in the physical space, certainly not in the digital space, and they're understanding cyber military operations. and is ready for that. Actually, before I tell you about connecting the dots, and I'm going to finish in the next 5 minutes or so. So very importantly, because Galaxy is ready, we have not started that feature yet. We have not activated that feature yet, but I promise, and I can show it to you if you will, and hopefully you have questions for me on that angle. Okay, but Galaxy is ready for observing things that happen in the real physical world and how they match what we call digital campaigns. Let me explain. You know, the Qatar 2022 in the winter, the World Cup of soccer. You know, the football, the soccer World Cup will happen in the winter, and every league on the planet, every soccer football league on the planet will have to stop because, you know, every national team needs to go to Qatar to play in the winter. Well, you know the truth, okay? And then there are those you know, ideas of corruption, etc. So we think, and Galaxy thinks, that there will be some sort of hacktivism trying to complain for that thing. But when the countries of the G7 or the G20 or the climate change in Glasgow, when there are demonstrations on the streets, I mean, physical demonstrations, there are also demonstrations on the digital, what we call the digital threat condition. Okay, the Shangri-La debate, the Lebanese elections to the parliament, or in April, if I recall correctly, there are French elections. All of those things that happen in real life, they have a match or they have an expansion in the digital arena. Am I right? So Galaxy is ready also for that. So at the end of the day, with Galaxy and with the rest of the CyberRes portfolio, we are connecting the dots. And something I was honored to mention at one of the gorgeous risk conferences and some other webinars is about the journey from cybersecurity to cyber resiliency at the heart of the city. That's our metaphor of a metro map. At the heart of the city and the cyber resiliency, at the heart of the town, is the cyber resiliency or privacy or governance, if you will. But you cannot get there without understanding the whole metro map. Data classification, anonymization, event management, security operations, identity management, application security, file governance, data security, tokenization. Well, guess what? All of that we do at CyberRes, a micro-focused line of business, because that belongs into the arena of not only security, but resiliency. Remember that 55 minutes ago, I mentioned civil engineering and beauty. I mentioned size and light. I mentioned flexibility. I also mentioned integration. Well, I took this picture in Prague, that's the Czech Republic. I'm proud of this picture because it reminds me of modern things, a modern architecture, modern enterprise security architecture, of course, that's civil architecture, coexisting with legacy infrastructure that you can see behind, you know, that old kind of building behind, and this flexible, liquid, beautiful building right at the forefront. Well, we understand all that at CyberRes, a micro-focused line of business in the spaces of identity management from the mainframe to the cloud, and security operations from just correlation and log management into MDR, SOAR, XDR, and now with Galaxy, threat hunting, investigation, and threat research. But the same happens with application security with Fortify, and last but not least on data security and protection with privacy. When I mentioned about architecture, and the team told me, Ramses, this picture is worldwide recognized. Everybody in the room and beyond knows that this is the Opera House in Sydney in Australia. Why? Because they decided to build it cool. They decided to build it like an obvious architecture that everybody around the planet would recognize. I don't know if this is your case, if you want to be recognized or not, if you want to be, you know, an example and leave a legacy into your regions or countries for security architecture. Maybe yes, maybe not, but building it the right way, building it robust and solid on application security and data security and identity management and security operations is important, because I am addressing you from beautiful Barcelona, Spain. This is where I am now, born and raised in this magical Mediterranean city. I cannot go back to the office, so we are all still at home. But because I'm addressing you from Barcelona, this is our cathedral, you know, Sagrada Familia, probably the Holy Family from Antonio Gaudí. Well, the guy was a genius and he was a very religious man. And instead of regular columns, the right foundations for them was like, these four at the forefront, these four columns, they are like tendons. They are like muscles. He saw bones in order to have the whole temple standing. He saw bones like a femur in the legs. So this is very important. And Antonio Gaudí, I'm building the right cathedral. This is what we have done. We are doing actually. The present continuous tense in the CyberRes, a micro-focus line of business portfolio. Not siloed, but in an overarching, wider perspective that has to do not only with security, protection, defense, identification, prevention. Yes to all of that. But listen, and this is very important, the verbs of resiliency are the following. The verbs of resiliency are anticipate, withstand, recover, and evolve. Not just protecting and preventing and monitoring and responding. Well, yes to all of that, but the capacity to endure, the capacity to resist on those 4+1 areas are driven by the definition of resiliency or cyber resiliency. Anticipate, withstand, resist, recover, and then evolve to the next stage. Because the road ahead, 2022 and beyond, and again, with the tragical things that are happening, the road ahead will certainly depend on the resiliency like never before. When we talk about cyber exposure, data, access, governance, privacy, compliance, augmented detection, zero trust, trust no one, trust nothing, trust no network. When it has to do with secure development, with testing, with robustness, with solidness, with liquidness, all of these 7 things that you are seeing here are the road ahead. We have built our 4+1 portfolio exactly to do that. Voltage with data privacy and protection, everything and anything on structured and unstructured data, discovery of information on any platform, any type, any format. But when it comes to keeping it secret, format preserving encryption, format preserving hash, discovery, retirement, data governance, access, and that's only one of the 4. But when it comes to understanding who has access to what, then we go to identity and access management at the bottom left-hand side. Everything and anything on access management, access governance, federation, roles, entitlements, rights, privilege, account management, two-factor authentication, etc. We are not siloed, I told you. Then we go to application security, the leader with Fortify, in order to harden the code, in order to make sure that it has no gaps, that it's robust and solid. In cloud, in-prem, and everything in the middle with Fortify. Last but not least, on security operation for more than 2 decades with ArcSight, and then it's good companion Galaxy that you can use the community edition for free right now. Even if you don't use ArcSight or you use any other technology, Galaxy, you can use it right now. And at the heart of it, unsupervised machine learning with Interset that actually feeds and nurtures the 4, that's the one, the 4 of the disciplines. That's who we are at CyberRes, a micro-focus line of business. That's what we do. That's what we breathe. And it was a pleasure to present for you this morning and the journey on not only about security, which it is, but also about resiliency, the capacity to endure. Again, a blessing to present for you this morning. Those are my data, and of course, engage with my colleague Christian, which is online. Nadia, thank you for helping me on marketing, and of course, David, I'm giving it back to you in order to know if there are questions. I know the Q&A panel, so I will check it out now. But I'm giving it back to you just to check, just to have questions, and then maybe the quiz or whatever. So back to you, David. Thank you very much for your help. Yep.
Great, Ramses. Thank you very much for your session. It was really a pleasure to listen to you after such a long time, and to stress right now to everybody. So we are looking forward 1st and 2nd of June, risk conference in Lashko in Slovenia. Ramses will be there doing his rockstar routine again. So make sure you're there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Take care. Have a lovely day and a sunny afternoon.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Cheers, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.